Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Stargirl Season 2, and this is going to be my trailer breakdown for Episode 7 for this season, the halfway point, otherwise entitled Summer School Chapter 7. But of course, let's watch this trailer, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Something terrible has happened. This has to be Eclipso.
I'm with you. Forever.
So last episode was easily the best episode of the season. We got the big slap across the face, aka the mic drop. Whoa, Eclipso finally arrived and he made a statement. He made one hell of a statement. The one it was definitely worth the wait. The statement that he decided to hand in to the JSA. We see him kill Isaac Bowen, first by injuring him with Cindy's own blade, which he ripped out of her. And then he absorbs him, like we saw Cindy absorb her own stepmother via Eclipso. And then Eclipso appears to send Cindy to somewhere. We can assume, I guess it's the Shadowlands. It could be his own dark prison of sorts. We'll have to wait and see. Like, he did say something to the Shade about, like, them having, like, the same thing, or, like, drawing their power from the same thing, or something along those lines. But, yeah, we'll have to... I'm assuming we'll find out fairly soon wherever Cindy went. But speaking of the Shade, he was injured by Eclipso. We thought that maybe he'd actually killed the Shade, but the Shade was alive at the end of the episode, just incredibly injured. And, well, speaking of the end of the episode, Eclipso decides to disguise himself as the young Bruce Gordon again. So we have that creepy little kid running around Blue Valley. That's not good. But of course, before we get into the actual breakdown of the trailer, we will quickly go over the synopsis or description for the episode, as it does, add some more context to what's going on. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts, opinions, theories, anything like that. Always curious to read them and what you're looking forward to most in this episode. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you're looking forward to this episode, why not drop a like on it to show support and excitement. When the guilt over Brainwave's death becomes too much to handle, Yolanda is forced to make a heartbreaking decision. So obviously, as we can tell from this trailer, this is a Yolanda-focused episode, and I'm pretty sure next week's episode, so episode 8, is centered around Rick or Owlman. So it seems that we are going to be getting episodes focusing on members of the JSA and the way in which maybe Eclipso impacts them and their dark pasts or dark presence, or just him being around maybe amplifies them even if he's not directly involved. Now, it is important to remember that episode 9, the week after what looks to be Rick's focused episode, so in 2 weeks, is the episode where Garrick is showing up, and it's going to be a either complete flashback episode or a episode with flashbacks, or more flashbacks than we normally get. So I wonder whether that is a Beth focused episode, so we have a Yolanda one, then a Rick one, and then a Beth focused episode. And maybe it's centered around the mystery of what happened to Charles McNider, aka the original Dr. Midnight, how it started, and maybe potentially how he gets out, which in turn could maybe give us a hint or a straight up answer as to maybe where Cindy went, because I'm pretty sure she won't be dead, as I said earlier. So yeah, maybe if we find Charles or Dr. Midnight, we find Cindy. So these next, well, I was going to say like 3 or 4 episodes, but I guess if we're just honest, the rest of this season is going to be off its head, like off the chain, whatever you want to call it, and I personally cannot wait. But moving into the actual breakdown of this trailer for episode 7, next week's episode, I mean, like, where do we start? I think we can start off, like, I think all we can start off with really is, like, poor Yolanda. Like, she can't catch a freaking break. And that lack of catching a break keeps on going on here, where she is struggling with that ongoing guilt of what happened with her in the season 1 finale, where she, of course, murdered Brainwave, though it was pretty much like self-defense due to the fact that Brainwave would have killed her if she didn't do it first. But this has been ongoing since the end of season 1, and we skipped out on like 6 months of the calendar, of all of that, as that is when season 2 started, 6 months after the end of season 1. Now, we do see her in the confessional again, like I think it was in episode 1 or 2 we saw her in there in the church. And of course, it was in the church as well, where she was having the flashback visions to those events from the season 1 finale. So the church seems to be like a trigger point of sorts, but it's also like an outlet for Yolanda, like one where she probably doesn't feel like overly judged or vulnerable. and just, yeah, all of that. So I guess it comes with its hits and, everything like that. It's pros and its cons. That's the word I'm looking for. But one of the bigger parts is the influence of Eclipso, or the potential, we need to say that, the potential influence of Eclipso. Now, as we know, Yolanda has been struggling with this before the whole Eclipso thing started playing out. So it's not caused directly by Eclipso being there. It's not just starting now. But he could add on to it. Now, the trailer doesn't straight up say it's because of him, so it will be interesting to see whether Eclipso is intentionally doing this to Yolanda, or whether the added stress from the Eclipso situation just adds to what Yolanda has already been going through, or just his general presence in Blue Valley and the darkness it brings just amplifies what's going on with Yolanda, even though it's Eclipso not, directly aiming or targeting Yolanda with all this. So it'll be interesting to see how it's explained in the episode. But as we can see, when Yolanda is in the school halls of Blue Valley High, there is someone else at the end of this hallway in a blue and white jacket, and that same person appears to be in the church as well, with Yolanda being in her Wildcat getup at that later point. We can assume that's maybe towards the end of the episode. Now, this is, of course, Henry King Jr. Now, we know Brainwave was disguising himself as his son, or, Henry King Jr., when Yolanda killed him at the end of season 1. So I wonder if this is another case of that. Now, this is supposed to be the actor who played him in season 1 coming back. It's not just the back of his head, and it's just like a stand-in actor there. The actual actor, Jake Walker, I think his name is. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be him, from what I know, that's coming back for this episode. So it will be interesting to see what is exactly going on here, the interactions, but it will be good, if not great, for Yolanda to potentially, if she's able to, get some closure around the whole situation with Henry King Jr. Like, she hated him up until he died last season and was never able to forgive him, or at the very least, accept and take in his apology. And he sacrificed himself so his dad, Brainwave, didn't kill them. So that could be a potential bright light that comes out from this episode, that Yolanda gets some sort of closure around that whole situation. But I don't know, can there be any light with the darkness that Eclipso brings? That's for us to wait and find out. Now, of course, on the other hand, we of course see Brainwave Senior, or just Brainwave, in this trailer. He is back, and though some might think it's the voice of Eclipso we hear in the trailer, it's actually his voice. They're pretty different. They're just very menacing. And as he does tell Yolanda, he is here with Yolanda forever, like sort of pointing at her, maybe her brain. This is until Yolanda is able to move on, of course. So if she can, in whatever way that would be. But we also see Courtney as Stargirl, grabbing at her head as if Brainwave is attacking her. Now, of course, this could be Eclipso, but maybe this is Yolanda thinking she is seeing Courtney in pain and that Brainwave is doing this, and it's pushing that guilt and making her suffer even more. It could just be that. Now, as the synopsis does say, when the guilt over Brainwave's death becomes too much to handle, Yolanda is forced to make a heartbreaking decision. But what could this, heartbreaking decision be? Would it be to purge Henry Jr. from her mind so she never remembers him? I'm honestly not too sure what that the angle could be that they're going to attack this from. The only thing I could think of that I think could happen, maybe, when I'm thinking about the context of the episode and just Yolanda as a character, is that maybe she stops being Wildcat. Maybe the heartbreaking decision is that she stops being Wildcat. It's very important to remember that Wildcat is what brought Yolanda out of that rut that she was in after the events of those photos getting out there. Of course, Courtney helped as well, but Wildcat gave Yolanda that strength, and made her feel new. And of course, all that photo stuff was brought up again last episode by Isaac. So maybe cutting off Wildcat cuts off the guilt maybe associated with what happened with Brainwave. Like, Yolanda almost feels shame being Wildcat, which was also mentioned previously this season. So maybe that's the heartbreaking decision, is cutting off Wildcat from her life and just going back to being just Yolanda. So maybe that's what it could be. But yeah, obviously this trailer only focuses in on a few scenes by the looks of it. So a lot of this episode seems to be hidden. So maybe in this episode there is more Eclipso. I would assume most likely is the young Bruce Gordon going around being very, very, very creepy, if not even more creepy than we've seen. I'm scared to go to sleep tonight. I'm scared. Anyway, I'm assuming we'll see more of him, but I'm not too sure how much it would be. Maybe he kicks this off, but I'm not too sure how they're going to handle that. I don't know if they're going to have a little kid kill people. So I'm assuming he maybe transforms into Eclipso when he's going to kill people. But if they go down the dark route where we actually see I think he's maybe 9 or 10 years old, that old of a kid or that age of a kid going around just killing people, that can be pretty dark. So we might see that happen. Let's wait and see. But yeah, we do have some promo images. They've actually released promo images pretty far in advance for the next few episodes, but we're just going to go over this episode because why we do the next episodes. But we do see Rick, Courtney, and Yolanda in, I think this is Courtney's house, just having a bit of a chat. Yolanda obviously looks a bit stressed out. Obviously, I'm assuming at this moment she's already started seeing Brainwave and maybe Henry King Jr. See Beth there as well, joining in the chat. This is an interesting one. So we have Yolanda who's crying. She's in Blue Valley, but behind her is a bloody handprint. Now, I wonder if this is meant to be like Brainwave's blood, because obviously like she slashed him, you know, the blood in her hands maybe. Like, or you just say, you have blood on your hands, like literally. So I'm assuming that's her handprint, which would be pretty gnarly, but yeah, so she's obviously struggling in school here. We do see Courtney and Yolanda at school. So obviously she'd be at school because summer school, duh. But yeah, Courtney and Yolanda here. Maybe Courtney finds her in the hallway after and she's been crying and stuff like that. Not too sure. I wonder who the new summer school teacher is though. Because Mr. Dysinger, I doubt's coming back. So I wonder who's coming in to do summer school. We do see Courtney and Yolanda here once again, that, you know, that personal chat, and once again Rick and Beth. And this is what maybe makes me lean towards maybe her thinking about giving up being Wildcat, is the fact that they're all here, and it seems to be like a, you know, an actual JSA meeting and a bit of a deep chat. And like Rick looks really concerned. Maybe Rick started having issues with what's going on with Eclipso being in town as well. So because his episode is the next one up. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But Yolanda, don't quit being Wildcat. We want you to stay. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome. We could drop a like on it to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on this trailer. What are you looking forward to most from this episode? Any theories? What do you think this heartbreaking decision is? Are you lining with me, where maybe she's considering giving up being Wildcat, or do you think it's something else? Let me know. And yeah, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.